Today we are going to talk about cafeteria, base kitchen, and banquet kitchens. Cafeteria is something which is close to everyone's heart. All hoteliers, especially, and all clients and customers who work for corporates. We as consultants, because we design them. It comes with a lot of passion since the food is served and the demand of the food served in any cafeteria per se, hospital, educational institute, is primarily which everybody wants it to be home cooked. I always believe the mantra is that the food that they want is home cooked, but they should not have eaten at home. So they need variety. For that, we need help from you people. We need help for us to design the cafeterias, including the back area, in a manner which helps them fulfill the variety that they desire for. Now, when we look at a cafeteria situation, in a commercial sense, there are two aspects to it. One primarily aspect would be to have an on-site kitchen, which not many people can afford because the space is premium. Sometimes it's a no cooking zone where they don't allow LPG, which is happening in a lot of corporate catering. And also where they allow cooking, they don't allow LPG. Electricity is expensive, especially when it is in a commercial area. So we look at aspects and challenges of serving in a cafe of an office, or of an institutional catering to start with. There are advantages of an on-site kitchen per se. A very, very big advantage is the food is fresh. The quality of food is excellent because it comes right from the wok, it comes right from the utensil and gets into the bain-marie. We can have very good quality checks with on-site cooking, but the aspect is, what about the price? What is the price that you have to pay to get that quality? For a small size corporation, organization of say 300 people, 400 people, it doesn't actually make commercial sense. If food is very important and it is a passion, yes, you can always get into a position where you can say, okay, I'm ready to cook even for 20 people. But when we talk in general, less than 1,000, it's usually expensive to have an on-site kitchen. Your labor costs don't get split up. The cost is a premium and it becomes difficult. But when we talk of a BCP plan, a business continuity plan, which is very important because you need to serve food day in, day out at the right time. It is a very good aspect because if the building is on, where you're cooking on site, your kitchen's on. If the building goes down, the work stops, you stop. Unlike in an off-site catering where a BCP plan is a very important plan. Nowadays, to have good quality on-site kitchens, whether it is in a hospital or a school, people have moved on of having a budget. They also talk of a cost and a percentage model.
Most of the people would prefer to have the food cooked on-site. It could be something that is like traditionally Indians are used to eating fresh food. We're not used to eating frozen food or long shelf food. So apart from seeing the financial feasibility, we also look at actually the perception of the people. If we start giving processed food or refrigerated and stored food to the patients, they would not perceive it to be fresh, although it would be absolutely safe. Like in the previous presentation we mentioned, cook chill is a very effective method when cost and the space is a limitation. But in India, I think people still prefer freshly cooked food, and I think so. It does involve a lot of infrastructure on site, and basically a proper planning of kitchen, efficient planning of kitchen between the patient catering and the staff catering plays a big role. Now, since the topic is mainly is dedicated towards the staff cafes, I would say for staff, I think generally in hospitals it varies. Like in most of the hospitals, generally it is paid for nursing and all. The meals are provided by the organization, and for management and all is basically pick and choose. So you have to cater to different kind of segment. For nursing, we focus more on home cooked style because they are consuming breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you have to design a menu in a way that there's a cyclic menu. The cuisine changes. You have specials incorporated, and for doctors, it's more pick and choose, a la carte kind of designing. So the proper kitchen planning plays a big role, and also the buffet. You need to design a buffet. There has to be, the expectations are changing. People are bored of the normal pre-cooked Ben Mary kind of food. They're expecting a lot of live elements added.
This is exactly what I was coming to, Mr. Batra. A very good point he's brought up. Whenever we design a buffet counter for any institutional catering or a cafe or a cafeteria, it's usually cut copy paste. How many cold items, how many hot? The Bain Marie is there. You have a hot holding cart, a cold holding cart to the maximum, and that's just about it. You know what? I would put this on to Rajiv after this is, but my feeling is that the client has moved on. The vendor is moving on, but somehow I'm putting it on to all the consultants and the designers here, but we are stuck. It's not just about serving dal, roti, sabzi, chawal. We need that spark for us to be as close as to the hotels, because the exposure today to people who are eating in the cafeteria is very high. They go to standalone restaurants, they go to hotels, they are very well exposed. So now what they need is maybe an induction tawa right in the middle of the buffet, where the parathas can be warmed up. That's how the trend is moving on, where the dosas can be made right on the buffet counter, the uttapams can be made. It's not just about dal, roti, sabzi, chawal. And whenever we are designing, usually what happens is that the client project team has decided on the buffet counter without understanding what the need is of the customer who's actually going to eat the food. Or even if you have the menu outlined, it changes. See, the food gets monotonous. What we are trying to do is we're trying to bring around the operator and the customer's point of view to you. Today we are saying 2 lentils, 1 non-veg, A, B, C, D. But that's not going to be the set menu for 15 days, 1 month. Tomorrow they get bored, so you got to serve soup. So these are the things which you are a subject matter expert. You are part of the industry. You understand the need. Even if the project team, especially in a corporate sector or in an industrial canteen, would not know. So these are the things which they need to be educated from your side, that we need to build in those things. A non-veg section is within the Bain Marie. India is a very sensitive market. When you have the non-veg and the Bain Marie, if somebody is trying to pick up, there is a spillover of the gravy in the vegetarian section. So that's an actual pain point. When we talk of desserts, we presume with a background of still being an Indian but not having an Indian background. If you are designing when it is summers, you presume the dessert is going to be cold, and when you are in winters, you presume it to be hot. So that the fine tuning, the refining before a vendor comes in, we need from you all. The solutions are there, but they are half-baked sometimes. We have a hot holding cabinet, for sure, it's there. but where are the gastronome pans which need to be replaced? 90% of the time, they're not there. When we bring in the perspective of pastas can be made on site, sandwiches can be made on site. So what happens is sometimes in a cafe situation you are clipped. You can't perform to your expectations. All I'm trying to say is Indian institutional catering is moving on. The times have gone. Yes, you have the industrial segment, but that is also becoming a big segment. You have an off-site kitchens, you have on-site kitchens where there are interactive kitchens which are happening. I have seen a very good kitchen designed by Sunil, which is Sunil Khanna, which is Nor Bremse, which is a show kitchen. So industry is actually moving on to at a very fast pace. A very important segment which is coming up with us is schools, with educational institutes. They are coming up with wonderful kitchens, and believe you me, this is one untapped market for all of us. One segment which we feel which is going to grow at a very, very fast pace is educational institutes. Anybody who puts their child in a school is stuck with that school, whatever may be the case. The school fees goes up, the teacher fees goes up, every kind of fees goes up, but you're stuck. And they are providing meals. And the schools are no longer what we used to be 7 to 1 or 7 to 2. They are till 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock. So these are the schools which are actually giving a lot of F&B business. And they need safety, hygiene, they need good kitchens, and they need interactive kitchens. Chef Malhotra would throw some more light on the banqueting, and I would touch the nerve by saying the innovative techniques of cooking for banqueting and the need how the banquet kitchens, the QFK kitchens as we call them, have to grow, and how they have grown over a period of time, and how the banqueting has changed or is changing, and what do you expect and help. We need help from all our esteemed delegates here.
Hi, good evening. Till now we were talking about this cafeteria kitchen, but I want to put some light on banquet kitchen and centralized kitchen, which is nowadays a very famous thing. Like all the banquet kitchens and centralized kitchens, they are supplying food to the different units. They are making food at one place and supplying to 10 units, 12 units, 15 units, 20 units. I worked with the Nerulas for around 5 years, from where I used to serve food for around 67 units. When I left in 2000, there are around 67 or 70 units. From one single unit from Okhla, we used to serve food to all the units. And it was not a joke that time. And we used all those machinery that time for what we are talking about today. Blast freezer, all the machines for making patties. We used to make around 3,600 patties in a day. From first to last patty has a same weight. Till now I remember lamb patty was 67 gram and veg patty was 58 gram, and it was all machinery things. With hands you can't make all those things. And nowadays we are depend on machinery, but still I would say people rather want machinery food, they want handmade food. It's good thing. We also run a bulk kitchen. We used to serve 10 outlets from that bulk kitchen. I have a banquet kitchen from where I am supplying food to 3,000, 4,000 people in a day, where I am making fresh food daily, which people appreciate. But to the QSR format, all these machines are essential because you need blast freezer to chill the food, to increase the time capacity of that. You need machinery, you need tilting pan, you need steam kettles to cook food faster, to save energy. And for cafeteria especially, you can cook food for them, but still people want something live thing. As rightly said, like people want should be in front of the guest. So nowadays, all these things are very perspective things. Food is a very subjective basically. Like if you are serving food to 100 people, may 2 people will say, yaar, maza nahi aaya. But 98 people will say, ji, bada acha hai.
I agree, Chef.
Food is a very subjective thing actually.
Chef, I agree with what you said that we need a lot of automation along with some places where skilled
Yes.
is required.
But we really need skilled people with us whom we can place at one place, like centralized place, and other places where you are serving food. Those places, crew members and less skilled worker can work there.
We also move on from just being, when we talk of cafeteria food and this food, then what happens is we should not leave around developers. Now developers, a lot of places they don't allow cafeterias to be built, but they have their own cafeterias. They have their own developers have their own cafeterias which they convert into food courts. We have seen that happening in hospitals also, and I've seen that in Medanta. What has been the success story for food courts within a corporate setup?
See, we have a food court, a 7 outlets food court in Medanta, and initially when we opened, we had opened with only 2 outlets. So we were definitely under capacity, and we had around 140 covers then, and as of today we have around 250 seating dining hall, and believe me, we still run out of space. Most of the hospitals generally to ensure that the patient meal service or patient care is not affected, do not allow attendant meal service in the rooms. We at Medanta have taken a management call, and there are reasons behind, because first of all, we are catering to on an average of 1,000 patients a day, and generally each patient gets 7 to 8 meals per day. So we are serving 7,000, 8,000 only patient meals. Add to that, if you have 1 attendant per patient, you double the capacity, then definitely your infrastructure will not be able to cope without a cook chill setup, especially when you have 2 hours meal hourly service. So then your food court plays a big role. Apart from food court, we also have an attendants cafe in next to our staff dining hall. So you have to basically give a facility to the attendants who basically cannot dine in the rooms. And there's also reason because you don't want, big patients would have a restrictive diet. You don't want attendant to eat a normal or rich diet, because it's tempting for the patients also. So definitely you need to have a variety of options available within your facility, and that's where the food court are doing very well in hospitals.
Moving on from food courts. And coming back to the cafeteria, since our main subject is cafeteria today, we also are looking at, and now many players have come in which are giving you cafe solutions. They're not coming up with an aspect of just the food being laid down and serviced. When we talk of cafe solutions, that would mean no cash. They will have the card swipe system, where the role of human interaction becomes very limited. Now this is helping the cafes to grow, the business to grow, and we are also looking at a prospect where off-site kitchens are playing a bigger role since the premium space is very expensive. Now, what is the way forward for this industry and the future trends? Chef Akash, what do you feel is the way forward for this industry?
Good afternoon all. The way forward is basic standardization and the relative use of technology with alongside the food that we are going to serve. As the chef said, the offshore kitchen or centralized kitchen is the key to this rather than having an onshore. That's what I think basically. The only thing is you need to maintain the temperature chain, or as chef calls it, the danger zone, I guess.
Now, weigh and eat is another concept that's catching on, which is a concept which been there abroad for a very long period of time, but not been used. But now I've seen some companies adapting to it. You don't eat we actually think that everything on the buffet is for us and we need to eat it. That's not going to happen now. People are actually moving to a concept where they move in a queue, pick up the food, and at the end of the queue, it's weighed and you pay according to the weight. Also, which we see and which we have experienced now in one of the cases in Pune, is you have online ordering. You can sit on your seat, order what food you want to eat today. You will have an estimated time in the cafeteria where that food would be ready from the kitchen, on-site kitchen. You can just go and pick it up and eat. I feel that the buffet concept over a period of time will reduce. We are looking at a concept where either you're going to have more of health food because everybody in the industry or outside is working towards a healthy meal. The concept of giving food during lunch breaks or breakfast or dinner with these MNCs coming in or earlier was actually an HR policy. The policy was that you invest so heavily with the employees that you want them to eat healthy, nutritious food. You want them healthy, you want them fit, you don't want them to eat a burger or a patty or junk food, and then the HR loses that guy because of any medical reasons. That was the actual concept of serving food in cafeterias. Over a period of time, it has changed. We've splurged. It's become more to retain the staff and other aspects. It's coming back. The industry is coming back where they're looking at healthy food, they're looking at pre-packed meals, they are looking at online meals, and this is the concept which is going to work where minimum interface with the minimum human interface and more of IT interface is going to happen, and the industry is going to grow and is growing actually at a very fast pace. We need to keep up with the expectations of the customer, of the vendors, so that we are able to provide solutions to what they're looking at. I would like to throw open for any questions that you might have. None? When we talk of cost structures, it is a very varied. It's a very varied aspect. If I take a question correctly, you're talking of the costing or the selling.
No, specifically I'm asking the price points, which you don't have to give specific information, only very general information which.
See, the price point for an on-site kitchen or an off-site kitchen actually varies from about 80 to about 100 rupees for a vegetarian meal and goes up to 250 in cases. So that's how it is for a vegetarian meal, and minimum about 120 for a non-veg meal goes up to about 300. If I would be specific, Google is an example, Hike is an example. Hike, the meal is approximately 250 for a breakfast, 275 for a lunch meal, 100. See, I'm just going an aspect where I would see where I'm saying the industry is changing. We don't think of putting reach-in refrigerators in cafes. Now, desserts can invariably be kept in reach-in refrigerators. There are corporates who are looking at those things where you have your drinks kept. When I say drinks, that means soft drinks or lassis and things like that, health drinks kept there. So these are the price points and they have the budgets. They are looking at what difference that all of us can bring to their cafes. They don't want it to be a regular cafe. The identity of the cafe should be related to the company. So we put a lot of efforts of designing a restaurant or a hotel or any other F&B site. But actually, when it comes to cafe, the mind is, okay, it's going to be an SS Bain Marie or maybe got a cladding on it, and that's just about it. We don't think of how the food is going to land, where it is going to be stored, what temperature it is going to be stored. So all these aspects of safety also need to be incorporated.
So these two examples were from software and IT companies. What about the companies who are not in this particular field? What about the ones like, say, automobile companies, or I don't know, are there other?
See, industrial, I would give you an example of an automobile as well. That would be Honda Scooters and Motors in Manesar. They are spending more than 50 rupees even for their for the workers. But the numbers are approximately about 10,000 a day. So the volumes are high, and where their corporate office, the corporate employees, they are having price point of about 100 plus rupees. So the price point has moved on, but we are stuck because it's all there in our mind. This is all I'm saying, that all that we are expecting and requesting all of you is to put a little more effort, brain, innovation into this industry, and you will see the results.
I have a question for Deepak. Deepak, how many meals are you serving per day right now?
In the dining halls, in the cafes?
Total.
Total, if I count only the major meals, would be 3,000 for patients. I've excluded all soups and minor meal services. And for staff would be 2,000, 5,000 major meals.
5,000 meals. And you are not using cook and chill system.
No, we are not.
And one, I want to know why it is not being used. And though I was involved in these discussions, but I still want to share. Mm-hmm. And also, I want to know the logistics of making and distributing this food in a limited time. I want to know how long do you take to cook and how much time do you have to serve. So, because that will give us an idea of the operation and what it would require to design such an operation.
Why no cook and chill? Cook and chill I've shared already, because I think in healthcare the perception is very much people want to have fresh food, although cook chill is equally nutritious or even safe. I would say the preparation time, on an average, we have a cyclic menu, so it takes around 2 hours to produce around 1,000 meals in a major meal period. We do maintain the temperature chain, definitely. So the serving time for us, there's also packing element. So you add cooking 2 hours. Packing, the food is transferred from the kitchen to the hot Bain Marie, which are our packing stations, and they are then packed. So it takes, on an average, for one meal tray, around 55 seconds to pack, and then they are transported. They are stored in a preheated hot cart trolley, which is kept at a temperature of around 75 degree. And then say the whole packing for we're talking about one floor for us, it takes around half an hour for say around 40-50 meals that are there. And then serving time for us is from transportation to serving is half an hour. So 2 hours of cooking, half an hour of packing, and another half an hour. So 3.
And you have big distances to cover because
We do.
you have
We
a
do.
very
Our
big hospital.
building is like vertical. So
Yeah,
we have
you have
15 floors.
you had some conveyors, conveyors for assembling the trays, but you didn't use them.
No, we didn't. We never installed them. Actually, we
So-
tried.
so-
We tried as a
I
pilot.
want to know what is the like you're using a manual system.
Yes.
Is it very labor intensive? Are conveyors better or are they impractical?
See,
for the
the conveyors do work in airline catering. It's all conveyor, but they do work better in areas where you have limited options. In healthcare, we had counted. We have around 32 permutations and combinations of diets. So you have renal diet, you have neutropenic. There's so many low salt, low sodium, low oil, no oil. So there's so many combinations that you end up stopping the conveyor. So at least in a hospital, I would say if I take the percentage out of 100%, I would say 60% would be on normal diet. around 20-25 would be on soft diet, and then around 5 to 10% would be on therapeutic diet with no sodium, no oil, blenderized diet, and then another 10 to 15 on liquid diet or RT feed, which is a tube feed. So there's so many combinations, and you have say limited staff who are looking after their specific areas. So they have to basically pack and really focus on the diet tickets that you have. So in hospitals, especially of such a high volume with multi-speciality patients, it is difficult.
because each patient gets food according to their dietitian style, so you cannot use the conveyor in this case.
Yes. Plus we are also JCI accredited, so we also, it's one of the principles that you have to basically cater to all the special requests made by patients. So for us, it's not just hard and fast, okay, this is your menu of the day, please have it, enjoy your meal. It's not like that. We do look after the preferences also. So there are lots of exceptions made to the daily menu.
What are the logistics of delivering cold food to the rooms without using refrigerated products?
See, currently we have in our packing stations, we have holding cabinets. So the refrigerated items that we are serving are the yogurts, the curds, you have the salads and cut fruits basically. So while they're getting packed for half an hour, they're all refrigerated. Transportation time is 10 minutes from the workstation to the pantries. Each floor has a pantry, and each pantry has a refrigerator. So as soon as the food reaches the pantry, the cold items are shifted to the refrigerator. First, you have different wings. So the first wing straight away goes for service, and the balance, whatever food is left behind, is kept in the fridge, basically.
And what would be your recommendations to handle the dirties which come back from long distance, which are lying around, because they can cause? I understand.
You need to have a separate trolley. We do have a separate trolley for clearance, so you don't want a cross contamination. For the waste that's lying in the food, in the plates and all, to cross contaminate the fresh food. Although the food is covered, nothing comes uncovered, but still, from hygiene point of view, you definitely need to have a separate clearance trolley.
Is there anything required in the design of a kitchen like this, from the patient's point of view, keeping that they're sick and they are very fussy, finicky at times? I know you have an order taker to take orders.
We do have like say 15% of a la carte and diet changes component is always there. See, we are also like moving beyond from, we are lots of projects we are also doing. We are moving beyond from the cyclic menu to keeping it with a few things we're working where patients can pick and choose. Like Gurpreet was telling for the staff, we are also looking at an option where patients will have printed the menus basically, where if somebody doesn't want the normal menu of the day, he can pick and choose. And let me see, let's not talk only about India. Like in UK, we have our vendor at F&B vendor for patient catering is Compass Group. Now they also have their head office in UK. So in UK, most of the hospitals, they are using a technology called Steamplicity, where the food is basically cooked in advance. They have at least 30-40 dishes cooked, packed, vacuum packed, and they're just taken to the pantries and heated in microwave, and the food is actually sealed packed on a plate itself. So you just remove the wrapper, the vacuum pack, and it's served. Now and the food is not fully cooked, it's like partially medium cooked, and it's finished off in the microwave. It does help in retaining the nutrients. It does help in giving the variety to the patients. Basically, right now in a cyclic menu, you cannot really have the flexibility because you have to pack the food. You have to first of all prepare a production summary, and then you pack the food and then serve it there. But in Simplicity, what happened? They have at least 30 plates of different options ready. Last minute, the patient can choose. You just take that it's pre-cooked, it's pre-packed, say 1 day cook chill method only, and then it's served immediately. It gives a lot of flexibility to the patients to choose. It has helped them basically improve their patient satisfaction because I think option is the main thing. If somebody is staying in a hospital for 7 days, he really get the menu fatigue will come. You will see every day you're getting the same dish, although it's cyclic, but still.
I have a question for Chef Malhotra. Chef Malhotra, how many meals do you serve in your?
From our banquets, we are doing around 2,000 meal in a day on lean season, but in a peak season, around double to this, 4,000 meals in a day.
Okay, and you cater to members.
No, for banquets we don't cater to members only. We cater to members, member guests, and non-member also.
And
but for 4 restaurants we are catered to members, 2 restaurants non-member also. Anybody can come in.
And how many venues do you have for catering?
We have 22 banquet halls, 6 outdoor venues, and 6 restaurants right now at Habitat.
So you have many banquet venues. So can you give us some ideas on how to handle food distribution for so many venues from one kitchen?
Like right now we are doing this, and we should have proper trolleys like what I have seen in Flight Kitchen. Flight Kitchen, we have small trolleys which you can insert trays, food trays. The trolleys should have like food GN pan or what pan we are inserting in the chauffeurs. Those kind of trolleys should be made. So from the banquet kitchen, you put all those food for one banquet kitchen, you put in a trolley, send it to that place. They will take out food and put it on the chauffeur. That will be safer also. And I must say, like I am running commissary also, and with your help we set up that commissary at Broadway Hotel, and now we are successfully running 7 tikka towns from that place, and we are
I want to know, I want you to share your experience of transporting kebabs.
Yes, I am telling you, like from that commissary we are doing all Indian food, all kebabs, but kebabs only marinated kebabs, but not in frozen stage, in chilled stage, like 1 degree temperature or 0 degree temperature, not -degree temperature. And our vehicles are fully refrigerated. We transported food in those vehicles, and when it reaches to the unit, we have PVC curtains in our refrigerated vans, and it is mandatory when it reaches to the unit, like Vasant Kunj, the driver will not switch off the AC, will not switch off the air condition. So the temperature will be maintained, because one van has to carry 3 units or 4 units or 2 units. So he has to drop food for one place, then he has to move again to another place. So that is mandatory. And I am also using many equipments, tilting pan, and blast freezer from last 10-11 years, and combi oven we are using there, and these things are very, very helpful to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jaipur.